guys, what's up? It's BigJackFilms here, and welcome to another review. Let's talk about Superman. Considered the greatest comic book hero in America, while he was created by Canadians, Superman is the embodiment of all superheroes today. With his amazing abilities, his classic story, and his one-hit rivals, he's the hero that everybody wants to be. A lot of us do know about the classic films with Christopher Reeve, which this guy already reviewed. But how do you bring a character that was created for the 1930s into present-day times? Well, in 2013, Zack Snyder brought us a reboot of the classic hero, done in the style of the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. And that's the film we're going to be looking at today. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, let's find out. Let's take a look at Man of Steel. So the plot of Man of Steel is very much like the classic comic book, which starts off with the planet Krypton about to be destroyed by natural causes. In doing so, one of the planet's leaders, Jor-El, played by Russell Crowe, sends his newborn son off the planet as Krypton explodes in a ball of fire. The spaceship with the child lands on planet Earth and falls into the hands of the Kents, who raise the child as one of their own. But Jonathan Kent, played by Kevin Costner, realizes that the child has incredible powers, and in doing so is vowed to keep it secret from the rest of the world. And as the child, now named Clark Kent, played by Henry Cavill, learns and evolves with his powers, decides to use them for the good of mankind. In doing so, he finds a pair of spandex and becomes the Man of Steel known as Superman. But unfortunately, a few military Kryptonians escaped Krypton's destruction, and the leader of the group, General Zod, played by Michael Shannon, decides to use Earth to build a new Krypton. And of course, it's up to Superman to stop Zod and save the world from total destruction. So, what are my thoughts on this revived version of the classic superhero? Well, it's okay. I mean, give the studio credit, there was no way they were gonna top Christopher Reeve's classic performance as Superman. But I'll also give the movie credit that it was actually a pretty good action film. With great fight sequences and amazing special effects, it was a pretty fun ride. And the characters were actually pretty interesting. Henry Cavill as Superman was actually not that bad. I was a little concerned going in, but look at this guy. He is built up to the bone. He looks and acts the part. But I will admit, when he's playing the 20-year-old version of himself, it's kind of faked out. But everything else about the character is absolutely amazing. And when he's Superman, he is badass. And the suit itself? Well, I do miss the red underwear that made the classic Superman look good. It's hardly noticeable, and the suit looks great. And for once we have a Superman with a long-ass cape. With something like Christopher Reeve in the original suit, the cape did feel a little short. And then of course there's the side characters. Amy Adams' Lois Lane was actually a pretty good choice. She's kind of the Lois Lane that we see in the animated series. While she is saved by Superman numerous times, she can pretty much take care of herself. But surprisingly, one of the best characters in the movie was Russell Crowe as Jor-El. Holy shit, was this guy awesome! Well, to be fair, I am sort of a fan of Russell Crowe with films like Gladiator and Master and Commander. He's surprisingly really good in this film, playing sort of the Obi-Wan mentor by showing that he can still kick ass even when he's dead. He's kind of like the Cortana of the Superman films. So overall, the heroes are great. Now what about the villains? Well, to be fair, the henchmen and the henchwoman are pretty forgettable. It's Michael Shannon that steals the show as General Zod. I will admit I do miss the classic General Zod from Superman 1 and 2, but this guy's built for war. He is ready to kick the shit out of anybody who crosses his path. In fact, one of the best things about the film is that the fight scenes seem a little anime-ish, like something that I grew up with on my childhood. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All these fight scenes feel like a live-action Dragon Ball Z movie. In fact, why the hell doesn't Zack Snyder direct the Dragon Ball Z movie? It would be far better than this piece of shit. In fact, if you look at the fight scene between General Zod and Superman, it feels a little similar to the Saiyan saga when Goku fought Vegeta. Don't believe me? Let me overdub it with this dialogue.
I, Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans, would like to offer you, Kakarot, the opportunity to stand beside me in this conquest. With Nappa gone, I could use a good man.
I have everything I could ever want right here on Earth. So I'll have to say, no thanks.
As well, the cinematography and effects, like I said before, are actually really damn good in this movie. While the cinematography can have some shaky cam moments that can be a little obnoxious and make you want to throw up, there are some pretty good moments in the film where it feels a lot calmer and a lot more collective, and the shots look great. Now let's talk about one of the biggest things in Superman, the music. While I really miss John Williams' score in this movie, the score this time was actually done by Hans Zimmer. And while the theme to Superman is great, it does feel like a lot of his other scores that he's done recently. You know, with the quick beats and the classic Inception. God, does that have to be in every one of his scores? I remember this guy coming up with some great themes back in the 90s and the mid-thousands, but every other score he's done now is actually pretty much the same. And this leads us to the big part of the film, the cons. And I gotta admit, guys, this movie has a lot of problems. In fact, when I first saw this film, I didn't like it at all. And there's a few reasons to it. First of all, the editing. Holy shit, this is the worst editing I've ever seen to a film in my life. I get that this is a Christopher Nolan production and they have to make it look like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, but you're not making Memento here. You're making a goddamn Superman movie. All the scenes in the movie are completely out of order and don't make a lick of sense when you watch it all the way through. It'll start off with the destruction of Krypton, but then go to Deadliest Catch. And then it'll go when Superman's a baby, then when he's a teenager, then when he's Superman, then back to him being a kid again. It's annoying as fuck. And I hate it when movies do that. Just a simple beginning, middle, and end is all that I ask for. My advice to anybody watching this movie is to go check out one of those fan edits where they put all the scenes in chronological order. The second biggest problem with the film is the tone. What do I mean by that? Well, here's the thing. I get that it's DC Comics, and I get it's supposed to be a lot darker than Marvel, and getting to the tone of what Batman Begins and The Dark Knight stood out in comic book movies. But guys, this is Superman. This is way too fucking dark. The amount of death and destruction is just unpleasant and really depressing. And on top of that, Metropolis goes from this beautiful city into a fucking Holocaust. Dude, the Superman I knew would always save people who are in danger. And these people are dying everywhere and it's just really unpleasant. It's also the fact with the colors. The colors are so bleak and gray, it looks nothing like a Superman movie. The tone in this movie was just way too dark for a movie about a superhero that's supposed to be appealing for all the families to enjoy. And unfortunately, one of the biggest problems of this film is Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent. I mean, holy shit. Kevin Costner was not even trying with this performance. And give credit, I like the guy. He's great in Waterworld, he's great in Robin Hood. But his character and the way he acts is too damn depressing and bland. Like, this is Star Wars prequel level acting. But the biggest problem is his character. He's trying to hide Superman's secret to the world. And even this scene where his son is on a bus and all the kids are dying and the kid saves him, what does he say?
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
Are you fucking kidding me? You would let a bunch of kids die just to keep Superman's powers a secret? Fuck you, Jonathan Kent! You deserve to be sucked in that tornado. Oh, and don't even get me started on that whole tornado scene. It's fucking ridiculous. In fact, it's the worst part of the movie. In the original Richard Donner Superman film, Jonathan Kent dies of a heart attack. The scene is incredibly heartbreaking and makes you cry along with Clark Kent. But to be sucked in a tornado, taking your own life just to prove a point to Clark Kent is over the top and completely fucking stupid. God, every time I see this scene, I want to punch the movie in the face. Also, another big problem with the film is the amount of destruction. I get the action scenes are supposed to be action-packed and entertaining for Superman to go ahead and beat the shit out of these people. But again, why did Metropolis have to go from this great-looking city into a fucking nuclear ashtray? This shit goes way too far with the destruction. In fact, how the fuck did they build it so quick that Clark Kent is now working for the Daily Planet? It's like the battle happened and everybody was like, didn't really affect us. And while there are great action sequences in this movie, it doesn't make up for the amount of problems it has. Man of Steel, I hate to say guys, is not a very good movie. Again, while I have seen worse films in my day, this film was an utter disappointment when I saw it in the cinema. And even looking at it again, it still has its problems. A bad pace, terrible editing, being way too dark, too much destruction, the amount of 9/11 symbolisms, and not to mention the amount of religious symbolisms that piss me right the fuck off, and Kevin Costner being a fucking idiot, these elements ruined the movie. As an action movie, it's entertaining, but as a Superman movie, it just doesn't work. Overall, I have to give it about a 5 out of 10. Great on the action sequences, but everything else sucks. Well, that's my review of Man of Steel. A good effort, but was incredibly disappointing. But what were your thoughts on Man of Steel? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you have to say. And be sure to join me in a few months when I review Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Will the flaws with Man of Steel be fixed in this film, or will they continue forward? Well, we'll find out when the film comes out. Until then, this is BigJackFilms, signing off.